Hello and welcome to Class Solutions Dental Education Podcast, the podcast series where we share knowledge and experience to provide value to you and your dental practice. I'm your host, Phil Cole, and in today's episode, we're going to step away a little bit and we're going to be talking about health and fitness and how you can work to have a better, healthy lifestyle. And I have the privilege to be joined by my daughter, Laura Bloomquist. She is a transition consultant and real estate agent for us at Class Solutions in the Carolinas, but she's also a NASM certified personal trainer. I hope I said that right, Laura. You can correct me later, but she's going to just be sharing some health tips. So I thought that what we always have in the years I've been with dental, people always looking for health tips, diets, and different things like that. So I thought it'd be a great podcast just to kind of step away and get a little health information. And I couldn't think of anybody better. So hello, Laura, and welcome to our
Hello.
podcast.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. So if anybody doesn't know, or those who are listening knows my family, Class Solutions was started. The class is from my three daughters and my wife, Caitlin, Laura, Aubrey, and my wife, Shelly. So Laura is one of my middle daughter. And you actually got into fitness big time, so much that you ended up going into a competition, correct?
That is correct.
Um, if Very dedicated person, she worked her tail off to be able to get up there, and you ended up doing very well, right?
Yeah, I placed in the top 5 in all of my classes. So that was a big win for me for my first ever competition.
And doing that then also drew you to actually go on to get in it. Did I say it right? NASM certified?
Yeah, it's NASM certified, and then I also am a nutrition specialist as well, um, certified through them. So the same program.
Okay. So I know that program is no slouch. That was quite the undertaking to be able to get that and to have that. So that spurred you on from that competition. And it's been a while, right? It's been a few years.
Yeah, I've had it since 2018 in October is when I got certified. So it definitely took me quite a few months, and then you take the test to get certified. So I really loved it, though. I really enjoyed it and still do, obviously.
So my daughter has had to put up with me for almost 25 years of dental, so she knows she's been brought into the dental industry with me down in the Carolinas. But I was telling her I really'd like to do this podcast because in the years that I called on offices and all the things, January's rolling around here. And it was always funny because at Christmas time, if you brought in cookies or you brought in chocolates and stuff, oh no, we can't do that. We're going to start our diets. And then or the new year, if you did anything like that, they'd be like, oh no, it's the new year. We've got our new things that we're trying and so forth. So I just wanted to, me personally too, and everybody that's listening, what you always have problems with, and you're always trying to see what the next diet is and stuff. But what really should somebody be worrying about when it comes to the overall wanting to, maybe, let's just say we're looking at losing weight or just feeling better and not tired and stuff like that?
Yeah, so the only way to diet is to actually be in a calorie deficit. And basically, what that means is there's a negative energy balance. So basically, you are burning more than you're taking in. And that's truly the only way to diet. And if you're not in a calorie balance or deficit, you're not going to see any change in body composition, etc. And personally, like I train all my clients through macros and tracking macros, which basically is a way to track exactly what you're intaking. So your protein, your fat, and your carbs, which are the 3 micronutrients in every single food. And I like to do that because it's going to stay with you for your entire lifestyle. There's a lot of diets out there that'll just be like protein and veggies, or like the Whole30, or all these other different diets that really are not sustainable for your entire life. And so that's kind of I guess the track that I do with my clients is getting them in a calorie deficit, but also not allowing them to not eat anything or just protein, just veggies, because you're not going to sustain that your whole life.
So yeah, I mean, basically, then giving yourself the ability to have the foods that you want, but am I right in saying that basically, but put it in a proportional method?
Correct. So someone, it's about a pound or about a gram of protein per pound that you weigh, and just like all this other stuff that you're not just going to be eating carbs or no fats or no carbs because your body needs carbs, fats, and proteins, all three, every single day. So that's why I don't do those certain diets.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that the ones that I mean, the latest, I don't know what the latest one is, but I know keto that it doesn't that cut out one of those three macros totally or to
Yep.
a major extent.
Yeah, I believe it's no carbohydrates. It's basically just fat and protein. And the issue with that is your body needs carbohydrates. That's your main energy source. So cutting those out, again, you're not going to be able to cut out carbohydrates your entire life. You just won't function. So that's kind of the way I approach it is I look at the lifestyle. It's not just going to be a 30-day thing. Let's be consistent. That way we can maintain our health, maintain our physique goals, and then that way have balance throughout our life.
So I guess then basically, I mean, when it comes to the mindset of things, if you get a diet that sits there and says do this for 60 days, you know it's a joke.
I would say yes.
Because yeah, well, I mean, because it's basically not making, I mean, ultimately said and done, what you're saying is you want it to become a lifestyle so that that eventually, because I know that w- we've seen other people and you've coached people that we know and stuff like that. And that's really what it's come down to is the macros in the beginning stink and learning
Hmm.
them and stuff like that. But eventually now, I mean, I know that when you coming back to Michigan to visit us and stuff, you can look at a circle of food and then know exactly, I mean, you name it off because it's become your lifestyle.
Yeah, and what I love about macros too is it allows you to learn what is in certain foods. So I will say, like, probably at least 90% of people are not getting enough protein each day. And so once you're tracking macros, you really realize, oh, like I'm really eating a lot of carbs and fats. I'm really low on protein. And so that could be why you're tired. That could be why you have some of these other symptoms. And I'll give another example, the 75 hard. That's a big fad right now where it's like 2 workouts a day. You have to do at least a certain amount of cardio plus another workout and then plus all this food. And I mean, people do it for 75 days. That's great. But how many people are actually going to continue to do that after the 75 days? Or how many actually do it until the 75 days are up? So that's my whole philosophy and where I look at it is I want to make sure that people understand what they're eating, why it's important to eat certain foods, and then obviously you're not going to track macros your whole life. Once you learn what's in foods, then you can step away from it, and it's called intuitive eating, where you just like that's where I'm at now. I can just not track a thing, and I know exactly what's kind of in food, like what you're saying.
Interesting. Um, so basically then, I mean, really it comes down to is just once again, like we talked about, having a healthy lifestyle, that going through that hardship of weighing, scaling, and everything, macros in the beginning is really a lot easier than going and trying the next new diet every time.
Right, because the awesome thing about macros too is, for example, my mom is a sweet tooth person. She likes her chocolate. So if she tracks, a little bit of chocolate each day, she's satisfied. And you can have different meals that you really like. You don't have to have the same broccoli or the same protein every single day. And that's what allowed me to be able to compete and do these other things where I was able to get really lean but stay sane, I guess, in a sense, because I was able to choose what I was still eating. Granted, you want to have the 80-20 rule of 80% whole, nutritious foods. That doesn't mean I'm just going to track Cheetos all day, but you can have that balance of things you enjoy, but then also your physique and composition and just mental goals too.
So then, all right. So in the dental industry, these guys, and it doesn't need to be just in dental industry, healthcare industry, but in all industries, right? You're going to school or you're going to work 9 to 5, and so forth. Kind of, where does the balance then become, or what kind of how do you handle the lifestyle of business? Then you got to come home with family and stuff like that, because I know me personally, there's times where I get home late and it's just like, oh, I know I'm supposed to lift, or I know I'm supposed to exercise today, but I'm just too tired. So where do you find, or how do you balance that?
Right. I actually have been finding this out myself, obviously, with a 7-month-old almost. But I think that wherever you're going to be able to fit it in, that's where you have to put it. So, for example, for me, I'm not a morning person at all, but I now realize with a child that if I don't work out at 5 a.m., or that time slot, then I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to do it at the end of the day. So, if you're a morning person or if you're a night person, you basically just have to schedule in, and that's your time. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to work out 6, 7, even 5 times a week. Even if you can get 3 to 4, 20 to 30-minute workouts, you're going to be better. You're going to be able to be consistent with it. And that's the main thing too, is just being consistent. So even if you work out 2 to 3 times a week, just being consistent with that time, whether it's the morning, whether it's in the night, whether it's your lunch break, whatever your schedule kind of allows for you, but you have to find the time that you're able to commit to every single week for however many times, but depending on your goals.
So, but when you are working out and stuff, would you recommend, I mean, what's your recommendation? Just, going, I mean, some people are going to say that it's just for a walk and stuff like that, but I've heard people, and then actually you've actually said the same thing too. So I guess to tell the listeners out there, I mean, you definitely believe in, when it comes to working out, that there's weights involved as well, and it's not just cardio.
Absolutely. I think that there needs to be a mix of both, because if you're just doing cardio, muscle actually is one of your biggest energy burners. And so the more muscle you have, the more calories you're going to burn. And so when people are trying to diet too, when they're just doing cardio or running and they're not trying to gain any muscle or do weights in a sense, that's just going to prolong the process. And so I think it's also mentally too, the next time you get to go up in a weight, you feel accomplished. You can always push yourself farther. You can do that with cardio too, but there comes a time when you're kind of at your limit, so
You're gonna run out of
I
time of being able to run 24 miles.
right, yeah. So definitely a mix. You lose, I think there was a study, something too, like you lose up to 1% of muscle every single year by age. I think it was like 30 or something. So if you're not doing any kind of weight training, it's gonna eventually um, hurt you in the long run, I think.
Okay. So then, as far as, then when it comes to the food per se, um, that I would say, then basically you can macro out the meals, take them to the office, so that you know that you're staying within that what do you want, what do you want to call it, calorie
Caloric
goal,
intake.
caloric
Yep.
intake. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry.
okay.
Yeah, I would suggest meal prepping. You can do the same lunches all week, and then, for example, if you have an air fryer, or the biggest thing I found is if you can prep your meats, and then say, for example, rice and veggies, or something, your basic kind of necessities each week. Then you can have a protein source, you can have stuff to pick and choose from, and that way you're set to go, you're on track. The sides, the snacks, whatever you might be craving that day, you could just easily add into. But as long as you have some good protein sources, you'll be set to go.
And so, what is the best way for someone to find out how many calories they should take? And is there any type of app formula or anything to find out, like somebody that's age 40, how many, that's 5'2", how much calories should they take in?
Yeah, there are some online calculators like your BMR. I suggest anywhere from zero point 0.8 to 1.5 gram of protein per body weight. And if you're, say, like over 200 pounds and that's just like a lot of protein to hit, you can also do protein off of your goal weight. So, for example, if you want to get down to 180 or 170, like you don't have to hit that much protein, but that's just kind of a basis, about a pound or about a gram per pound body weight for protein. I would really, really nail the protein first because, like I said, a lot of people just are not even eating close to what they should be for protein.
So when you're talking, okay, so just make sure that those who are listening to, in case, protein is, besides meats, where else are you going to get, where else are you going to get some protein?
Yeah, so really good protein sources would be so cottage cheese, beef jerky, yogurt, again, meats, so lean beef, chicken, turkey. There's a lot of turkey and chicken bacon. Your eggs are going to have a good amount of protein. Um, there's edamame, that's a vegetable that has a lot of protein, broccoli. So there's all kind of sources like that.
So then, and then just for anybody else that, I mean, carb wise, I mean, I know we typically say bread and noodles, but is there some other ones that, I mean, it doesn't, you don't have to give me a big, huge list, but is there any like major top 2 or 3 other ones that are major carb intake that you don't think it's carbs? You know what I mean? That, but it is
Yeah, I would say pastas and bread are probably the two highest that people, once they start tracking, they're like, whoa, there's a lot of carbs in that.
a lot.
Rice, obviously, when you weigh it. But other carb sources I was gonna name is sometimes like quinoa, sweet potatoes, a really good one. Strawberries are actually very low in carbs. They're the lowest fruit and carbohydrates. Bananas are pretty high. Um, then you have like, so basically all fruits, potatoes, cereal will be really high in carbohydrates that a lot of people don't realize either when you just have a big bowl of cereal at night. Um, so those are some examples.
Okay. So then I guess then the other thing would be then, since that's the kind of the food side of things, um, what would you say would be kind of a, you know, you mentioned that if someone could just do 2 to 3 times a week of 20-minute workouts, 20, 30-minute workouts, can you give me just a like a typical workout that you would say you could look at?
Yeah, so I would suggest it's called Every Minute on the Minute. You might have heard of them. It's called an EMOM. That's a great way to get your heart rate up in and out of the gym quick. And so I'll list one right now. If you don't know what these are or you need an explanation or how to do the exercise, I'm happy to put it in the description or even send you videos. But when I would do this would be 45 seconds every single exercise. I would start with Bulgarian split squats each side, elevated lying knee lifts, step ups on a bench, shoulder press, squat to front raise, squat to oblique twist, and a side plank hold. So that's going to be a full body, every minute on the minute. So you're working your entire body. That would 30 minutes max. That workout would be, again, in and out really, really quick, and you'll feel
And
really good the rest of your day.
is that just that one time for 45 seconds is going to give you 30 minutes on those exercises?
So you're going to do each of those exercises for 45 seconds 3 times.
Oh, three
So
times. I'm sorry.
yeah, so every minute on the minute would be you do it 45 seconds, 15 second until the next exercise. So that first one should be about 8 to 10 minutes, and then you do it 3 times. But if you need only 20 minutes, then you just do it 2 times. So that's kind of where it's nice. You can kind of do whatever you can fit in.
And any of those exercises that you just mentioned, I mean, we'll post it and stuff too. But any of those any of those exercises, you can look those up on the internet too to get the videos or anything. I mean, I know you said you could send them, but I mean, if someone just wants to go Google them, they're readily available too, correct?
Correct. Yeah, you can pretty much Google any exercise and it's there for you with a picture.
Okay. Um, is there any other, I guess, to kind of wrap things up, is there any other maybe special takeaway or another one more big thing that you would say to the audience on what they could do?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I could also encourage is just time and consistency. Your body really loves consistency, and you're not going to get a result overnight if you do it the correct way, as in dieting, etc. And so I would just encourage you to be consistent. You might not have a perfect week. It's not always going to be perfect, but it can always be done. And so you just have to choose mentally if you're wanting to do that, and then you have to be consistent with it.
Yeah, I think the other thing is too is people have to remember looking. There's a book out about it too, but it's 21 days to make a habit. And so,
Hmm.
that consistency, I hear the word consistency is more and more popular, but if you can be consistent for those 21 days, then your mind basically turns that into a habit. And so, I'd encourage everybody to try to make it a habit then.
I agree.
Well, thank you so much, Laura. It's nice to have my daughter on my podcast and stuff. Great information. I think next time I would like to, if we can have you back again to go in more depth on those macros and stuff. I know that even just for me talking to other friends that are friends of mine that are dentists or in the dental industry, when you talk about macros, it seems to get them really scared and nervous. So I think the next time we can have you on and you get a little bit more in depth on the macros and understanding them a little bit better and why they're so effective. So thank you very much. I appreciate it so much that you're on here. If you enjoy our show, please rate, review us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I am Phil Cole, and this was my daughter, Laura Bloomquist, talking to you about health and fitness. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope everyone has a great day.